You are sitting in a room that feels familiar, yet strangely foreign. The lighting is dim. The air is still. You check your phone. Nothing. You check it again 3 seconds later. Still nothing. A minute passes. Your chest tightens. A specific, jagged anxiety begins to crawl up your esophagus. This isn't heartbreak. This isn't love. This is withdrawal. You are experiencing the exact biological sequence of a heroin addict waiting for a fix. But the needle isn't in your arm. It's in your mind. Someone has engineered this silence. Someone has calculated the exact duration of this pause to maximize your cortisol levels, ensuring that when the notification finally flashes, the dopamine relief will be so euphoric that you will bond to them not out of affection, but out of sheer survival instinct. You think you are waiting for a text. In reality, you are waiting for permission to breathe. You have been placed inside a Skinner box, and you didn't even hear the door lock. Before we proceed, a warning is necessary. What you are about to hear is not advice. It is not a guide to healthy relationships or social optimization. This is dangerous information. We are about to deconstruct the cognitive exploits that bypass the conscious mind and hotwire the limbic system. These are the mechanics of obsession. Once you understand the architecture of these 3 manipulation tactics, you will never look at human interaction the same way again. You will see the strings on the puppets around you. You will see the strings on yourself. If you prefer the comfortable illusion that your feelings are purely organic and magical, stop listening now. If you want to see the code behind the simulation, continue, but do not say you weren't warned. The first tactic is the foundation of all psychological dependency. It is the reason you check your email, the reason you pull the lever on the slot machine, and the reason you cannot walk away from the person who treats you the worst. It is called intermittent reinforcement, but in the dark corridors of behavioral architecture, we call it the variable ratio schedule of reward. To understand why this is lethal, we must look at the predictable mind. If you press a button and receive a pellet of food every single time, you eventually get bored. The brain identifies a pattern, extracts the reward, and creates a baseline. The dopamine spike flattens. However, if you press the button and receive food only unpredictably, sometimes on the first press, sometimes on the 50th, sometimes not at all for days, your brain enters a state of hyperarousal. This is the dopamine prediction error. When the reward is uncertain, the anticipation of the reward releases more dopamine than the reward itself. In the context of interpersonal control, this looks like inconsistency weaponized. The manipulator effectively creates a calculated deficit of validation. They shower you with intense, high-voltage affection, the love-bombing phase, establishing a baseline of euphoria. They synthesize a perfect mirror of your desires. Then, without warning, they withdraw. The text becomes shorter, the tone becomes clinical, the warmth evaporates. Your brain, panicked by the sudden loss of the dopamine source, scrambles to find the pattern. What did I do wrong? How do I get the reward back? You begin to work harder. You double your investment. You pour energy into the void trying to trigger the response you crave. And then, just as you are about to give up, they return. A moment of warmth, a single compliment, a night of passion. Your brain is flooded with relief. You interpret this relief as love, but it is not love. It is the cessation of pain. They have trained you to view the absence of their abuse as a kindness. This cycle rewires your neural pathways. You are no longer bonding with a person. You are bonding with a cycle of anxiety and relief. You become addicted to the highs because the lows are so frequent. This is not accidental. This is a synthesized loop designed to keep you seeking a prize that is rigged to never fully satisfy you. This leads us to the second mechanism, which is perhaps the most insidious because it weaponizes your own intellect against you. We are conditioned to believe that we do favors for people we like, but the inverse is the clinical truth. We like people we do favors for. This is the Ben Franklin effect, weaponized into what we call the investment trap. Here is the pivot of betrayal, the moment where everything you thought you knew about loyalty dissolves. You believe you stay with someone because you value them. The cold reality is that you value them because you have stayed. The human brain is a rationalization engine. It cannot handle cognitive dissonance. If you sacrifice your time, your money, your dignity, and your sleep for someone, your brain must justify that cost. It cannot accept that you are wasting your resources on someone unworthy, because that would mean you are a fool. So the brain rewrites the narrative. It tells you, I am suffering for this person, Therefore, this person must be incredibly important. This person must be the one. The manipulator understands this behavioral architecture. They do not give, they take. They make small requests at first, borrowing a small sum of money, asking for a ride, demanding you change your schedule. With every concession you make, you drive a psychological stake deeper into the ground, anchoring yourself to them. This is the sunk cost fallacy in real time. They are not winning your heart. They are harvesting your investment. By the time you realize the deficit, you have invested so much of your identity into the relationship that leaving feels like a bankruptcy of the self. You stay not because they are good to you, but because you have been too good to them to walk away empty-handed. Let's descend into the clinical evidence. We need to strip away the anecdotes and look at the raw data. In 2011, researchers Whichkirch, Wilson, and Gilbert conducted a study at the University of Virginia that effectively proved the lethality of uncertainty. They told female subjects that male participants had viewed their Facebook profiles. Group A was told the men liked them a lot. Group B was told the men liked them an average amount. Group C was told it was uncertain. The men might like them or they might not. The results were staggering. The women were most attracted not to the men who liked them the most, but to the men in the uncertain category. The subjects in Group C reported thinking about the men significantly more often than the other groups. Why? Because the brain cannot close the loop. Unfinished business occupies the working memory. This is the Zeigarnik effect. When you don't know where you stand, you ruminate. You replay every interaction, dissect every word, analyze every silence. This rumination essentially programs the person into your mind. You are literally thinking yourself into love. The manipulator knows this. They maintain a calculated ambiguity. They never fully commit, nor do they fully reject. They keep you suspended in the gray zone, where your mind does the work of seduction for them. This brings us to the third and final tactic, the architecture of anxiety through triangulation. Value is not intrinsic. Value is comparative. A diamond is only valuable because it is rare and difficult to obtain. If diamonds were as common as gravel, they would be worthless. The manipulator artificially inflates their market value by manufacturing scarcity. They introduce a phantom third party. It might be an ex-partner they talk about too fondly. It might be a coworker they mention casually but frequently. It might be a subtle glance at a stranger while you are mid-sentence. They are signaling to your primitive brain that they are a limited resource in high demand. This triggers something primal, resource guarding. When you feel that your position is threatened, your focus narrows. Your competitive drive activates. You stop evaluating whether you actually like the person, and you start fighting to win them. You are no longer a partner. You are a contestant. They sit back and watch as you perform, jumping through hoops, perfecting your behavior, trying to outshine a rival that may not even exist. They have triangulated you into a state of permanent insecurity. In this state, you are malleable. You are willing to compromise your boundaries to secure your spot. You are terrified of loss, and fear is a much more potent motivator than happiness. Now pause. Look around you. Look at your phone. Look at the applications on your home screen. This is the real-world application hook. You think these tactics are reserved for sociopathic partners or Machiavellian spies? You are soaking in them right now. Every social media algorithm is built on intermittent reinforcement. The pull-to-refresh mechanism is a digital slot machine. Every streak on an app is the investment trap. You keep clicking so you don't lose the progress you've sunk time into. Every only 3 items left in stock notification is triangulation and scarcity. You are being manipulated by corporations, by media, by politicians, and by lovers, all using the same source code. They are hacking your dopamine feedback loops. They are exploiting your cognitive dissonance. They are leveraging your fear of loss. When you combine these 3 tactics, intermittent reinforcement, the investment trap, and triangulation, you create a psychological prison with invisible bars. The victim feels intense passion, but it is actually intense anxiety. They feel deep commitment, but it is actually deep entrapment. They feel they have found a rare prize, but they have actually been sold a lie. The person using these tactics against you is not connecting with you. They are operating you. They are pushing buttons on a dashboard to elicit a specific yield. They do not care about your well-being. They care about your compliance. So what happens now? You have the information. The veil has been lifted. you can see the machinery. The next time the text doesn't come and you feel that sickness in your stomach, recognize it. It is not love, it is withdrawal. The next time you feel the urge to do a favor for someone who treats you with indifference, stop. Recognize the investment trap. The next time you feel jealous of a vague threat, realize you are being triangulated. Awareness is the only antidote to the poison. You cannot be hypnotized if you know how the trick is performed. The question is no longer whether you are being manipulated. The question is, now that you know the mechanism of your own destruction, will you continue to participate in it? The cage is open, but only you can choose to walk out.